Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle, where Leah always has the last thing to say to me as soon as I press unmute. But what were you wanting to cover? It sounded interesting. You just said I really want to cover a whole episode
on China's horrific organ harvesting. But
oh my gosh,
cannot.
You do need to do a whole episode.
I can't just
on
like
that.
be like, just throw it in here because it needs its own title. It needs a whole like week series, but maybe I'll just do like one episode on it.
Today is the 31st of May, 2019. Did you guys see our shows last night that we did from our parade and carnival?
It was just last night.
The one on Martin Luther King Jr. is a must watch.
Oh my word.
Must share.
Oh, Jesus.
Leah, do you know what is the definition of conniption fit? I think it's
What
you
is
last
to be
night.
connipted?
You last night
Does that
is
have anything
the
to do with cats?
Conniption.
Yeah, guys, if you didn't watch that, we're going to cover so much news. So I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that you're showing up.
Anger or panic expressed verbally, loudly, and with overt bodily gestures.
Yeah, probably.
Leah had a full-bodied conniption fit. That's her name. About Martin Luther King Jr. So you want to see that.
Yeah, I'm not going to rehash it all, but let's just say that I don't trust the FBI, and somebody wrote some author named Garo said that he didn't see transcripts, he didn't hear any tapes, but he heard from some sort of reliable source.
No, summaries of transcripts of tapes.
A reliable source of summaries of.
And he's the only one that conveniently has them. No clue how he got his hands on them.
And anyways, that Martin Luther King Jr. was present for a rape, even though that rape thing was a handwritten anonymous notation in the file that he even said was a handwritten notation in the file.
Right.
Anonymous. Random. Anonymous. Oh, that's trustworthy. Mm-hmm. And I'm just mad at the conservatives.
I would like to state for the record that Herbert Hoover was a president in the 30s.
And J.
Edgar Hoover was the first director of the FBI, and it's all his fault. Everything in this world actually is all his fault. Mm-hmm. James Comey, his fault. Mm. What's happening to Trump? Right. Hoover's fault.
Right. So we're gonna dive into that today. William Barr there was an interview released for CBS actually, and it's just so shocking to see the two different ways that people receive this. Like, our nation is incredibly divided between sane people and the media, because you're going to watch this, and we're going to watch probably the whole thing, because it's like a public service announcement that we all need to watch, how he begins to truthfully unwind all of the lies that have been, not all the lies, but a lot of the lies that have been put forth, especially because Mueller gave a speech basically saying, hook, hook, wink, wink. We didn't find anything we didn't find any crimes, but we also didn't find that he was innocent.
It's not a very good one.
But you do know that if I come to you and I say, Michelle, I didn't find that you committed a crime, but I also didn't find that you were innocent of not committing the crime.
Right.
I said,
I'm innocent.
You're guilty of all the murders until you prove that you didn't commit all the murders that we want you to have committed. It's really crazy. Speaking of murder, we're going to cover this in its own story, but
we are
in its own.
Oh yeah, China's thing. Yeah.
But China, and this kind of goes into the Mexican tariffs that we're talking about, and the tariffs in China right now, because what our government is doing in China is kind of interesting, because they could drop some serious sanctions on what they're doing with the Uyghurs over in Western China, the Muslims.
Oh, okay. It's like the what?
And they're got 2 million people randomly in internment camps, making them eat pork, making them drink alcohol. Just crazy, wild stuff that, like, listen, I'm not into Islam, but no, you can't make people eat things, drink things to go against their religion. You can't unbrainwash people like that. It's like, that is seriously so, like, demonic.
Right.
And wrong. But anyways, so our government could really drop some sanctions on them for the human rights abuses in that regard. But with the tariffs, is very interesting. That I really think that Donald Trump is putting pressure through tariffs.
Yeah.
That in that direction. But what China's now doing, Chinese people don't, when it comes to organ harvesting, and I always shy away from a lot of like the organ harvesting and the sex trafficking. Not as I shy away, but like a lot of it seems to be overblown. Like a lot of the Pizzagate stuff, and you just when a boy cries wolf so much, then the real issues get lost in the noise. And this isn't noise. The Chinese government is harvesting organs from prisoners while they are still alive to supply
them
for
alive.
its lucrative organ transplant industry.
Under sedation.
Yeah. This guy, Stephen Mosher, founder and president of the Population Research Institute, sat down for an interview in Rome this week with LifeSite News. And in this interview, he says that the world's leader in organ transplant has moved to a more advanced China, which is very interesting because Chinese people like to be buried with all their organs. So they're actually getting these organs from people who aren't voluntarily giving them up. Known for a long time that they've been using prisoners of conscience. But what they're now doing is they used to put people on their knees and execute them and then take their organs. But now they're paralyzing their victims in order to extract the organs while they are still alive. China's policy of executing prisoners for their organs began in the 1990s. I guess there was a Buddhist sect called the Falun Gong, and they were being arrested by the hundreds of thousands. And we began to get horrific first-person testimony of how some prisoners were being taken out and executed specifically for their organs. So there's an organ database when you go into prison. And if they want your organ, the turnaround time, if you go to China and you get on an organ transplant list, you can get an organ within hours. How is that possible? They go and kill somebody and get an organ. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. The heart, the corneas, all the valuable organs that could be sold for tens of thousands of dollars. China moved to this more advanced version of paralyzing the victim. The victim is alive and breathing but can't move their muscles because they're paralyzed. Take out the liver, the kidneys. Tons amount of money in this. It's always been peculiar about the organ transplant industry in China. In the West, he said, you can wait 6 months or a year or forever to get a tissue match for a kidney or a heart. But in China, you are tissue typed as soon as you arrive. Generally within a week, and sometimes as soon as 24 to 48 hours, you have the heart, the kidney, the liver that you've been waiting for. The only way that can happen is by having 1 million people on death row in China who are already tissue typed.
Hang on, though. Pause right there. How many people on death row in China?
1 million.
So here in the United States, it's even amongst Christians and stuff. It is a touchy subject. Being on death row, being given the death sentence, right? Mm-hmm. We save that and reserve that for murderers. Mm-hmm. I don't know that anybody gets it for even rape anymore.
No.
So how do you get 1 million people
prisoners of conscience
on death row?
Buddhists, yeah. So they put the tissue of the prospective buyer of the organ into the computer. When a match comes up, that person is executed and their organs are taken out and immediately transplanted into the buyer. The Chinese government has gone to great lengths to deny what's happening. In 2010, he said the regime created a program to suggest that voluntary organ donations were increasing dramatically and legally acquired from people who gave their informed consent. But Mosher says, who first exposed China's one-child policy, pointed out that there are questions about the informed consent.
Pause.
Obviously, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of times when one of So What's comments gets deleted, he wants to know who did it. That was me, son, and I love you to death, and you know that I do. But he says, yeah, but they're Chinese. Who cares? I care. Every single human being has value because somebody else could say, yeah, but they're German. So who cares? I care. And a lot of other people care. And God cares. And you should care and stop being a racist. Love you. Carry on.
They're trying to convince the world that there's millions of Chinese who are voluntarily donating their organs. So yeah, it's not happening. So anyways, I wanted to get that out there and I want to do a whole... I looked it up then, like... Wall Street Journal's got an article on it. Bloomberg's got an article on it.
It's crazy. This is insane. You do not do this.
So before...
you know what I said when you told me this? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Nope.
I said, all trade stops now with China, with this expose, with this coming to light with this new revelation.
Right.
Donald Trump, somebody needs to tweet out to that man, Donald Trump Jr., we don't trade with China anymore. Everything that says made in China stops coming over here because of this practice. This is the largest human rights violation that can possibly exist in the world, I think.
So we're going to get into some real news in a minute, but I want to go some of these random articles, random news stories that actually bothered me a lot. More deaths on Everest. Climber predicted own demise due to fatal overcrowding. So you see this picture. There's this huge line of people. These people are going to Everest. And it boggles my mind because I don't know if you guys have heard much about going to Everest, but these people are so disgusting. I mean, obviously, where are they all going to poop? It doesn't melt. It doesn't go anywhere.
You're making me ill, man. Oh, dude.
They're so dirty. They're litter bugs. This is not at all to be like, oh, nature, right? It's disgusting what they've done to nature there, these environmentalists. But it can cost anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000 to say that you climb Mount Everest. But people are dying right and left. I want to say
on their way down.
On their way down. Yeah, exactly. So multiple climbers' deaths are attributed to the increased traffic jam involving hundreds of attempting to ascend the same narrow single file path. You don't get around. You go up, you come back down. It's called the death zone.
Wow.
And then last weekend into Monday, more climbers have been confirmed dead, even after the backlog of over 300 had been well documented over the summit last week. And including a 62-year-old American lawyer named Christopher Coolish. One of those climbers, a UK citizen, even predicted his own death on social media, says delays caused by overcrowding could prove fatal.
Didn't our friend Julie do Everest?
She went to the base camp.
Okay.
Yeah, people can go to base camp. And you can run out of oxygen and things like that. But my point is
Redneck says, I don't understand how there can be a traffic jam on Mount Everest. You wouldn't think, would you?
No, you wouldn't think, but I just say that these people are selfish. Look, and here is a dead corpse, and they're just walking right past the dead corpse.
No, you get out. Okay, I have to tell you something. Okay, all these North Face, and that's probably cheap clothes to them. There are brands that are far more expensive. Wearing people who are willing to spend $30,000 and $50,000. They're like those people that go to Africa and hunt big game, like so they can sneak a lion back. I mean, this is the most. I have to tell you, when you do a thing where you can pass by a dead body, you're like a really selfish, self-absorbed person.
Yeah, you guys, there's so many mountains in this world to climb. If you just want to go climb a mountain. But this is all about pride. It's not about enjoying nature.
It's all about you. It's all about yourself. It's all about
being able to say, I summited Everest. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. An Irish climber, 2 Irish climbers have died. And a couple people from India died. It's just absolutely insane. Look at all these people. It's like climbing Mount Everest used to be something for... like 4 or 5 people a year, just like a handful of people, brave, and like, okay, yeah, they did it. But now it's become this thing, and everybody, like, it's just disgusting, and I'm just disgusted by it.
So Bruce Wayne on YouTube says, so climbing Everest is now virtue signaling? I don't know. This is just silly.
It's disgusting.
But it's not silly because people are literally dying doing this.
Exactly.
And it's needless. It's not for any kind of real reason.
Yeah, we're gonna get into my stories that I have in the title, but we're gonna knock out some of these because these are important stories that came out this week. I want to share them with you guys. This was kind of shocking to me. I don't know if you guys knew this. We talked about this last night a little bit on Mom Patriot Gallery's live streams. You guys went some good. Yeah,
they were great. She did a good job.
You went some good ministry. The Holy Spirit always flows when Mom speaks. So if you're just lying there in bed trying to fall asleep, just listen to Mom put you to sleep in a good way. Like you need a mom to tell you a bedtime story.
That's what it is. And she came out the other day and I didn't fall asleep at all. She said, I have a bedtime story for you guys. And that's how this all got started. I said, Mom, you really should do those for the show. Mm-hmm. Read your blogs out loud.
Right. Nearly 30 million acres of U.S. farmland are owned by foreigners. And this really got my goat, but I had this fantastic idea. I actually I'm a little bit favorable of reparations, but not, don't go crazy on me, guys, because I don't believe that you can just randomly take from people now because it's been so long.
Right.
I believe that reparations should have happened because these people were brought over from Africa.
Right.
They literally were captive as slaves. And I believe that, some of the southern plantations should have all been turned over. And you're supposed to get 40 acres a mule, but then that the great Union generals set that up, but the Democrat who took over as president struck it down. So 40 acres and a mule. It's really horrible. Makes me angry.
It makes me angry too.
But this gives me hope because I don't believe that foreigners should own any land in America. So I don't have a problem taking it from them, or at least buying it from them at rock bottom prices, because we're seeing what's happening in South Africa. How is that different? It's different because those people have been there since the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
These are foreigners.
Yeah.
Okay. These are people who don't live here, who aren't citizens. And in many states in our country, foreigners can't own land. Okay.
So, now I have no idea where this article is going, but right off the bat, I think of the Chinese.
Yeah.
I think of the Saudis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of it's not just foreigners, like all of these foreign people that own a vacation home in the U.S. Mm-hmm. We're talking about them owning like oil rights and like significant chess pieces of land in the United States, where it's not just foreigners, it's foreign countries.
So, but here's the thing. When farms are locally owned, that revenue that those farms take in tends to stay in the local communities. But with foreign-owned farms, there's no guarantee. Mm-hmm. And while there is plenty of food to go around, this is not a major concern. But what happens when a food crisis erupts and these foreign-owned farms just keep sending their produce out of the country? There are some very serious national security concerns here that aren't really being addressed. I didn't know that there were 30 million acres owned by foreign entities. This is American soil.
Right.
American soil. Those are the two words that are commonly used to stir up patriotic feeling. They are also words that can't be taken for granted because nearly 30 million acres of U.S. farmland are held by foreign invaders is what I want to say, but investors. That number has doubled in the past 2 decades. The number has doubled from 15 million to 30 million, in the past 20 years. And it's raising a lot of alarm bells, rightfully so, in these farming communities. How did this happen? Well, some states have a free-for-all.
That's more than 1 million acres a year that they're taking up.
Texas is kind of a free-for-all. So they don't have to limit on how much land that can be owned. Then you look at Iowa, they restrict it. No land in Iowa is owned by a foreign entity. Okay? Ohio, like Texas, has no restrictions, and nearly 500,000 acres of prime farmland are held by foreign-owned entities. In the northwestern corner of the state, below Toledo, companies from the Netherlands have purchased 64,000 acres for what? Wind farms.
No, and I have to tell you guys,
wind farms.
I actually am a huge fan of windmills to power like a well or a grain mill or something like that. Okay, I don't know if we could. Anyway,
but they don't have 64,000 acres in Holland to buy, so they come here and steal ours.
These wind farms are causing legitimate health issues in the people that live near them.
Right.
Okay, because of the and Millie Weaver can explain this far better than I can because she lived through it. She's done extensive research on it. She talked about it at the Red Pill Expo when we went 2 years ago. But whatever the reverberation, I don't know. It's got to be that vibration or something. Or whatever it is, it causes headaches. It causes literal illness. So much so that she and her family had to move from their farm.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So
and how many other people?
China bought up Smithfield, which included 164,000 acres of farmland.
Smithfield is
pork products.
And other meats, but
mostly pork. They're the largest pig and pork producer in the world. In addition to owning over 500 farms in the U.S., Smithfield contracts with over 2,000 independent farms around the country to grow Smithfield's pigs. Outside the U.S., the company has facilities in Mexico, Poland, Germany, Romania, and the United Kingdom. Globally, the company employs over 50,000 people.
Wow.
A revenue of $14 billion. And this is owned by China.
No way.
This doesn't happen by accident. The communist Chinese government has actually made the purchase of foreign agricultural assets top national priority in recent years.
All right, so for those of you that still buy your meat at the store, which Smithfield does like processed pork, like hams and things like that.
Hot dogs.
Mostly hams. But anyway, stop buying Smithfield. You're going to have to stop buying a lot of things, but stop buying Smithfield.
Just go to a local farmer. Buy a half a hog, fill up your freezer.
Yep.
It's cheaper. The strategy is reflected by encouragements to invest abroad by various documents and articles issued by Chinese leaders. For example, a series of annual number 1 documents from Chinese Communist Party authorities stating rural policy have contained increasingly specific strategies for investment. The general exhortation to invest in agricultural overseas, issued in 2007. And then 2014, a document included a more specific mandate to create large grain trading conglomerates designed to give Chinese companies greater control over oilseed and grain imports. That was the same year COFCO acquired, Noble Agri and Nadira, making this one of the largest trading companies. These are trading companies when you, corn, soybean, and wheat, a lot of the grains. They're traded just like on the stock market. So, in the end, how much Chinese ownership of our farmland would we be comfortable with? If they own 20% of our farmland, would you be okay with that? 30, 40%? Would you still be okay? These are questions that we all still need to ask.
Hang on, though, because so I don't think that these foreign-owned companies are using these companies all as export. Okay, I think a lot of them just own them as investment. But at the same time, when you have foreign companies owning farmland, you can go warfare. If there is a food shortage and then all of a sudden they stop selling you their meats, or their whatever, this is a really scary thing. Kimberly Cubbage on YouTube says, I stopped buying Smithfield and Tyson products for that reason.
And start praying for your farmers, because just like we've experienced a lot of rain, they can't get their corn in, they can't get their crops in. So,
because it'll mold and mildew.
It's rough. Well, they can't get the plows in. It's too
right.
wet. It's too wet.
Right. Thank you. So Jason says the wind turbines put out massive infrasound that can hurt you. Now, Barry says that in the UK, their wind turbines have been modified to fix that problem. Stuart the Brit says each wind generator in Britain costs the taxpayer around £300,000 in government handout to mostly German companies.
Interesting.
The Attorney General William Barr says.
Okay, so there are 2 parts to this. Now let me see if I can just bring it all up.
I love this guy so much. I even like looking at him. Like, he's an interesting character.
He's so peaceful to me. Like,
I like listening to him talk.
Yeah.
That's why the left hates him, though. Bring.
Let's see if this is most of it. There's 2 parts to this. Please try.
It's kind of like, I think to myself that there are most people like us right off the bat. Wouldn't you say? Like, by and large, when we meet people, they like us. But then there are people that don't even know us, like have never met us. They just know about us and they hate us right off the bat. And I think to myself, well, then that says a lot about you.
In an interview you'll only see on
So
CBS,
if you don't like Barr,
Attorney General William
that's
Barr
what I was getting at.
with Barr to Alaska, and they sat down
gotta
for
love this
nearly an
guy.
hour-long interview
Leave
yesterday.
it there so they can
the
see him
Attorney
and you don't
General
have to move over.
discussed
That's
why
good.
he cleared President Trump of obstruction after the special counsel declined to do so. He said that he couldn't exonerate the president. You looked at that evidence, and you did. I mean, what's the fundamental difference between your view and his?
Well, I think Bob said that he was not going to engage in the...
I need to set this up a little bit better. This is absolutely explosive. The sound bites that came out of this interview were absolutely crazy, because Bob Mueller came out in a short testimony or whatever speech, basically telling the Democrats, "I want you to impeach the president." It's absolutely insane. And
they're all trying to cover their little heinies because of what's been declassified.
And this guy just, like, I don't know how he is so calm, but like it's like he's been around all this time and he knows all the players.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's been at the school and he knows all the kids.
That's great.
And he's like, you can't mess with me. Yeah. Like, I know you all.
Yeah.
I know you. I know what your job is supposed to look like. I know what you're all supposed to do. And I know he drops a lot of truths. He's asked, well, what do you think about your reputation? He goes, everybody dies. I got to do what's right. Whatever. I'm not going back. I don't want people to write odes to me.
Analysis.
I will write you an ode.
He was not going to make a determination one way or the other. We analyzed the law and the facts, and a group of us spent a lot of time doing that and determined that both as a matter of law, many of the instances would not amount to obstruction.
As a matter of law.
As a matter of law. In other words, we didn't agree with the legal analysis. A lot of the legal analysis in the report, it did not reflect the views of the department. It was the views of a particular lawyer or lawyers. So we applied what we thought was the right law.
That decision, offered up in a 4-page summary, opened the Attorney General to criticism. The response was that you were too soft on the president. That actually, the special counsel was a little sharper on obstruction.
I was just trying to state the bottom line, and the bottom line was that Bob Mueller...
Did the president commit a crime? No, we're done. Case closed. Walking away now.
Identified some episodes. He did not reach a conclusion. He provided both sides of the issue, and his conclusion was he wasn't exonerating the president, but he wasn't finding a crime either.
We're going to say this one more time. A prosecutor's job is to look at the evidence, and if he can't bring any charges, then that person doesn't... You don't have to, like, a prosecutor... Oh, I think that guy robbed the store. There's no proof that this guy robbed the store. I can't say for sure that he didn't rob the store, but I don't have any proof. That's not how this works.
I do not believe it is appropriate for me to speak further about the investigation.
While Barr testified before Congress about the special counsel's report, Mueller wants the report to speak for itself and signaled he does not want to testify. Do you think he should?
It's up to Bob, but I think the line he's drawing, which is that he's going to stick to what he said in the report, is the proper line for any...
Republicans want to get him on because they want to know when Bob Mueller knew for a fact that Trump did not conspire with the Russians, did he continue on searching when he already knew?
Department official.
We asked Barr about Mueller's final caution.
That there were multiple, systematic efforts to interfere in our election.
How is the Justice Department working now to ensure this doesn't happen again in 2020?
Yes, well, we do have I think a increasingly robust program that is focusing on foreign influence in our election process. I talked recently to the director of the FBI about putting together a special high-level group to make sure we're totally prepared for the upcoming elections.
Do you think enough was done in 2016?
Probably not.
The president has repeatedly accused former intelligence officials of dropping the ball by fixating too much on his campaign.
They were spying. They were spying on our campaign.
You've testified that you believe spying occurred into the Trump campaign.
Yes.
You've gotten some criticism for using that word.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's become a dirty word somehow. It has never been for me. I think there's nothing wrong with spying. The question is always whether it's authorized by law.
Some former intelligence chiefs have said the president has made that word somewhat pejorative, that they're spying, this is a witch hunt, this is a hoax. And so your use of that word makes it seem that you're being a loyalist.
It's part of the craziness of the modern day that if a president uses a word, then all of a sudden it becomes off bounds. It's a perfectly good English word. I'll continue to use it.
It's a word.
What have you seen? What evidence? What makes you think I need to take a look at this?
Like many other people who are familiar with intelligence activities, I had a lot of questions about what was going on, and I assumed I'd get answers when I went in, and I have not gotten answers that are at all satisfactory, and in fact have probably more questions, and that some of the facts that I've learned don't hang together with the official explanations of what happened.
What do you mean by that?
That's all I really will say. Things are just not jiving.
Well, that is interesting. Jan Crawford joins us now from Anchorage, Alaska.
So, Jan, Attorney General Barr said that the Justice Department lawyers disagreed with the legal analysis of the special counsel's team on obstruction of justice. But why do the
we don't need to hear
indict the president while he's in office? But while memories are fresh, while witnesses are available, you look at the evidence, and then you make that call on whether or not you believe there is a potential of indictment once he leaves office. Now, that's separate from Congress, and he didn't suggest that Congress shouldn't do its processes. But he thought that was an important role for the Justice Department, and he disagrees with the special counsel that he could not have made that call himself.
He's taken a lot of criticism about that 4-page memo. The team was not very happy with.
There's more. Barr.
Talked about when that wasn't the plan. He didn't plan.
So that's not the whole interview right there.
No, we couldn't get. No, they broke it up into pieces.
Hang on, look for that while I plug the History Bees channel. She says, God bless Barr. Too bad we didn't have him from day one. When I was plugging your channel the other day, I accidentally said the Patriot Bee because I was plugging Jay's new platform, the Patriot channel, and I want to apologize about that. But the History Bee has an amazing channel. I want you all to go and subscribe to. She brings history to light and to life in an amazing, amazing way. So I want you guys to go and subscribe to her channel. She's been doing a lot of work, or some, with Jay on the new Patriot channel, writing some stuff because she's an amazing writer. So I'm so glad that you're here so that I could give you a fresh shout out with the proper name.
Yeah, there's a couple more clips. So what I want to do, let's see. I want to read you guys some of what other people are saying about this. Amazing interview, stunning ending, read every word. No, come back. No. What?
Calm down.
Okay, we're going to go back.
All right, let me go to Facebook and see if there's any comments there that I need to read here. So on Facebook Live, Jason Warden put a link there on a study of the low frequency noise of the infrasound and its effect on human health.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
I'm not spelling right. Oops. Let's see. This interview of Bill Barr is fascinating. Don't just watch the clips. Read the whole transcript. Barr seems deadly serious about getting to the bottom of the anti-Trump spy and leak campaign run by Comey and Brennan.
In 2016.
Exactly. So William Barr criticizes the media for ignoring surveillance against Trump campaign. William Barr pulled no punches when discussing the media's coverage of the origins of the Trump-Russia probe, as well as the surveillance activities carried out against the Trump campaign. Normally, the media would be interested in letting the sunshine in and finding out what the truth is, Barr told CBS News. They're supposed to be the watchdogs, of our civil liberties. Yeah, exactly. Barr was discussing his plans for declassification of documents related to surveillance activities against the Trump campaign during the Russia investigation. President Donald Trump ordered the heads of various government agencies, including the FBI and CIA. Barr was given full carte blanche. Ability to declass whatever he felt, but of course he's gonna
In an exclusive interview.
Let's see if we get some more of this interview here.
Evidence. What makes you think I need to take a look at this?
Like many other people who are familiar with intelligence activities, I had a lot of questions about what was going on, and I assumed I'd get answers when I went in, and I have not.
Played that in chronological order, so you may have skipped over the part that you wanted them to watch.
No.
Now, Barr.
No, there's more to this interview, but that's the only clip that I keep being able to see.
Okay.
Let's see.
So Gonzalez says, so they agree Facebook has the power to influence elections, which is why they are silencing critics of the Democrats.
All right.
He could have reached a conclusion.
Right, he could have reached a conclusion.
Well, I mean, he seemed to suggest yesterday that there was another venue for this, and that was Congress.
Well, I'm not sure what he was suggesting, but, the Department of Justice doesn't use our powers of investigating crimes as an adjunct to Congress.
Before leaving for Colorado, President Trump dismissed any suggestion of House Democrats launching impeachment proceedings.
I never thought that would even be possible to be using that word. To me, it's a dirty word, the word impeach. It's a dirty, filthy, disgusting word.
He also attacked special counsel Robert Mueller.
I think he is a total conflicted person. I think Mueller is a true never-Trumper. He's somebody that dislikes Donald Trump.
The president contends intelligence officials from the Obama administration illegally surveilled his campaign, and Barr agrees there was spying.
You've gotten some criticism for using that word.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's become a dirty word somehow. It has never been for me. I think there's nothing wrong with spying. The question is always whether it's authorized by law and properly predicated, and
treason.
Not as a legal matter.
Worked on it. President Trump believes some committed treason.
You don't think that they committed treason?
Not as a legal matter, right.
But you have concerns about how they conducted the investigation?
Yes, but, you know, sometimes people can convince themselves that what they're doing is in the higher interest, the better good. They don't realize that what they're doing is really antithetical to the democratic system we have.
And Jan, what did Barr mean by that?
Well, I mean, he went on to say that the concern is that officials can kind of start to see themselves as guardians of the government, that they know better than everyone else, and so they can justify doing things that, even if out of bounds, you know, are for the good of the country. They may see facts through a biased lens and not even realize it. And Margaret, that's why he said it's so important that law enforcement agencies, intelligence agencies, when they're doing investigations, that they follow their rules and standards and procedures, and why it's important that afterward there be some kind of review to make sure that government power was used properly.
Jan Crawford, thank you very much.
You know what? That was actually pretty slippery there. The way that they're saying, they're kind of almost trying to lay a foundation because they know a huge bomb is about to drop and people are going to be found guilty. And so what they did right there is they planted a seed in your head where, you know what? It could happen to anybody where they accidentally use their own prejudice and they were thinking that they were doing it for the good of the country. So we just need to make it so that they now know that they need to follow the rules and not just what they think inside.
So in that interview...
It wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
It was just a mistake.
Exactly.
Honest mistake.
Exactly. And I think that William Barr will be fair when he comes out, hopefully. But I don't know if you guys have kept hearing the Q drops. And listen, Mom follows Q and Patriot Gallery. I think that they're good people who do research. I don't think they have the ins on things. And the reason I say that is because Jeff Sessions kept dropped the ball. More than dropped the ball, he kept scoring for the other team. And everybody kept saying that Huber, this guy here, was supposed to investigate the FISA abuses and the Clinton Foundation, and he never started his investigation at all. Huber was assigned to look at the FISA applications and electronic surveillance during the 2016 election and actions by Hillary Clinton. Attorney General Barr told CBS in that interview that Huber did nothing and that his work was taken over by the team he set up under U.S. Attorney John Durham. So there's a new U.S. attorney, praise God. Hopefully Durham will have what it takes. So that interviewer had said, what's the status of Huber's investigation in Utah? I think the former Attorney General Sessions had asked him to look at this. And he said Huber had originally been asked to take a look at the FISA applications and the electronic surveillance, but then he stood back and put that on hold while the Office of Inspector General was conducting his review. The one thing Barr is good at is spinning. He will cover your tooty-dooty booty if you just walk out without screaming.
Yeah.
He kept Rod Rosenstein on a leash next to him because he needed somebody else to sign off on his review, right? And he literally, I don't know how he does this. He gets in behind closed doors and he's like, this is what you're going to do, man. You have a choice, right? So Huber is walking out. Durham's walked in, but Huber did nothing. He did not investigate. Did
he get paid for this nothing? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a contractor that doesn't do the job, you don't get any money.
Yeah. Joe DeGeneva, he was in an interview where he had said that the John Huber investigation of Clinton Foundation is a farce and never even started. He has a client who was supposed to testify, and it's all just no, we don't want that one. It was all just a joke. It was a joke. So there are also a couple whistleblowers, Clinton Foundation whistleblowers, and they've tried to send their information in like 3 times. We showed you that. The FBI just won't take it.
I love how Gio says, Barr looks like Ralphie from the Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out, Democrats. He really does.
That is kind of funny.
He does look like...
Yeah.
He does.
That is kind of funny.
Maybe that's why everybody likes him.
Yeah. There's a lot more news that I have here than I thought I did.
We gotta get through it, or we won't cover it.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
What are you guys having a good time? This is a good show. You did a good job today. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah. So William Barr, this article from Town Hall says, shrugs off haters, vows to continue flowing facts and protecting rule of law. He's let's see if there's hardcore is what it says. On the investigation of the investigators. I'm going to see if I can get a couple more clips for you guys, because
it's a one bad dude. Take a look at him. Like, he is so, I feel like he should have been the main character of that music video Mom played in her thing last night. Bad dude.
They don't want
fear
you to
that
watch
face.
It.
You fear it.
They don't want you to watch.
They are
the whole
so
thing.
scared of that man and his round glasses. Scary man.
He is. He's very scary. They don't want any more clips coming out, which is really weird.
Of course they
How
don't.
Are you supposed to watch this stupid thing?
They don't want you to. They're probably wiping all the good clips. There's the whole interview. Whoa. I don't know how you're even going to find the ones you want.
Let's see. No, that's not it. That's not it. Yeah. So there's definitely more clips that I wanted to show you guys.
But you know what? What we can do is I'll try to link to the full interview.
Yeah,
and then,
if I can find it. This guy's got some sort of weird soccer ball here.
And then they can watch it later.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll let you guys watch that later because there's way more to it. Let's see.
Barr dropped it like it's hot. And that's all you need to know. Moving to the next story.
He dropped it like it's hot. Good man and a good interview. Let's see. All right. Well, we're done there. I guess we're going to be done.
What was that? We'll go back.
What?
What'd she say? Okay, for a moment. Oh, it's staging. Okay.
Right.
Never mind. All right, carry on.
Carrying on. Moving on.
They said he looked like John Candy. That's fine. No, he doesn't. He's way cooler than John Candy. Although that lady looks like Whitney. I just got.
You can actually read the whole transcript, and what I wanted to show you guys is the part where he says, "William Barr, I don't care. Everybody dies."
Yeah.
When he's asked, I thought I had both parts of the. Thought I had both parts up.
They should make a song like that.
Everybody dies.
Whoa.
See if I can. No, not everybody who touches Trump dies.
So back on the other topic here, Janice McKenzie says foreign land ownership can be passive at first, but with the weather destruction currently, meat and grains are at risk. Lost farms, China, money to be made, and then take over more land. Well said. Stuart the Brit wants to know, I wonder when someone will make a Barbie doll to collect. I would like a doll like that. I think that would be fantastic. Just a little.
In an exclusive CBS News.
Let's see. Wait, there's more.
Everybody died.
I knew that it would only be a matter of time if I was behaving responsibly.
Let's see.
If he has something to say to me, I figure he'll tell me directly. I don't look to tweets I don't look at them as directives or as official communications with the department.
But when you came into this job, I mean, you had a good reputation on the right and on the left. Mm-hmm. You're now someone who is, accused of protecting the president, enabling the president, lying to Congress. Did you expect that coming in?
Well, in a way, I did expect it because I realized we live in a crazy, hyper-partisan period of time, and I knew that it would only be a matter of time if I was behaving responsibly and calling them as I see them, that I'd be attacked, because nowadays people don't care about the merits or the substance. They only care about who it helps, who benefits, whether my side benefits or the other side benefits. Everything is gauged by politics. And as I say, that's antithetical to the way the department runs. And any attorney general in this period is going to end up losing a lot of political capital. And I realized that. And that's one of the reasons that I ultimately was persuaded that maybe I should take it on, because I think at my stage in life, it really doesn't make any difference.
You're at the end of your career?
I'm at the end of my career.
It's a reputation that you've worked your whole life on, though.
Yeah, but everyone dies, and I'm not, I don't believe in the Homeric idea that, immortality comes by, having odes sung about you over the centuries,
So you don't regret taking the job?
No. In many ways, I'd rather be back to my old life, but I think that I love the Department of Justice. I love the FBI. I think it's important that we not, in this period of intense partisan feeling, destroy our institutions. I think one of the ironies today is that people are saying that it's President Trump that's shredding our institutions. I really see no evidence of that. From my perspective, the idea of resisting a democratically elected president and basically throwing everything at him and really changing the norms on the grounds that we have to stop this president. That's where the shredding of our norms and our institutions is occurring.
Well, that's said. What you needed to see.
Now, throughout our conversation, there was one theme kind of that really emerged. I mean, Barr sees his actions since he took office, including clearing the president of obstruction when the special counsel declined to do so, as really standing up for the rule of law. Anthony?
Jan, what did the Attorney General tell you about why he decided to summarize the special counsel's report rather than release it when he first received it?
Well, I mean, that was some news there. I was surprised by some things he talked about on that as well. I mean, that was not the plan. He had asked the special counsel's office over a period of weeks and was led to believe that the special counsel's office was working to identify that sensitive grand jury material that could not be released by law to the public or to Congress. So he expected the report, when he got it from the special counsel, to have that material identified so that he could quickly turn it around and release it pretty much in its entirety. When they got the report at the Department of Justice, none of that material was identified, to his surprise. But he said the public wouldn't wait weeks while they figured out what that was. He had to get something out quickly. People were, camping out at the Justice Department. The media, intelligence officials were wildly speculating, as he put. So he released that summary. He said it was never intended to go in the nooks and crannies of the report while they worked to identify that grand jury information. But that was not the plan. And if he'd gotten what he thought he was getting from the outset, that 4-page summary wouldn't have been necessary.
All right, Jan, thank you.
That's fascinating, actually.
So they lied to him.
Unbelievable.
It is some news there.
That is.
He was led to believe that, oh no, when we give you the report, we'll have all this stuff identified. You can just retract it,
Wow.
Or, cover it up so that nobody.
I mean, can you imagine going through a report that was 2 years in the making?
400 pages.
I mean, seriously.
It's a joke.
It's absolutely
it's not even
insanity.
Funny anymore.
Oh
what they did.
My gosh. Okay, hang on. I wanted to read a couple of these comments here. Storm Bear says, Barr is cool-headed, calm, and proactive. I love that. On the land issue, Rabaza says, Michelle, in the UK, 60% of London is owned by foreigners, mostly Russians who don't live in the UK. This is done to launder criminal money. Let's see. No, I think that's it. All right, go ahead.
So, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is, I guess she's still alive. We haven't seen her. But she has argued in an opinion released Tuesday that a pregnant woman is not a mother. Now, a lot of conservatives and a lot of regular people are like, what do you mean? I tell a story, one of my dear friends, she's older now, she has several kids and grandkids, who said that it was Mother's Day at church, and they were asked all the mothers to come up to get a flower, and she was so excited. It was her first Mother's Day. And she was so excited. She walked up, and the girl handing out the roses said, "You can't have one. You have to come next year." And she went and sat back in her seat, and she was so sad she started to cry. Well, she was going to have a baby in 2 weeks, and that person said, "You're not a mother." Now, I guess she would agree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. A woman who exercises her constitutionally protected right to terminate a pregnancy is not a mother. But what if she has a miscarriage? Does wanting the child make you a mother?
Well, Bader Ginsburg is trying to say no, that it does not.
This is absolutely crazy. This was in a case a case concerned a law signed by then Governor Mike Pence of Indiana in 2016, which required that the remains of an aborted fetus or baby be disposed of by cremation or burial. The law also prohibited abortion on the basis of sex, race, or disability alone.
Wow.
The court upheld the first part of the law, but declined to consider the selective abortion ban until more appellate courts had ruled on it. In his lengthy opinion, which delighted pro-life advocates, the distressed pro-choice advocates, Clarence Thomas wrote that this law and other laws like it promote a state's compelling interest in preventing abortion from becoming a tool of modern-day eugenics. He traced the racist and eugenicist beliefs of Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger and warned that the court would one day need to wrestle with abortion as a form of racial discrimination. In a footnote, Thomas attacked Ginsburg's dissenting opinion, which argued the court should not have deferred to the legal standard used by the litigants in the lower courts, but should have subjected the Indiana law to a more difficult standard instead, since it impacted the right of a woman to an abortion. Ginsburg cited no legal authority for her claim that a pregnant woman is not a mother. The claim that a fetus is not a child is central to pro-choice arguments. I see people all the time. A child is a child when it's wanted. A child is a child when it's wanted. A baby is a baby when it's wanted. What about old people?
Right.
What about old people? Do they get to still be old people if they're not wanted old people?
Right. Well, it's the same thinking behind when Millie and oh shoot, what's her name? The other little one with the curly hair went to that abortion rally. That's what I want to call it. And she interviewed these young girls in Texas, and they were like, "Well, abortion saves children from being in foster care." And she asked them, "So are you willing to say to the children in foster care you shouldn't be here?" And the girls were like, "Well, yeah." It's insanity. So I want to pull up something, but in order to do so, I'm going to have to do some
finagling.
Well, no, they're just going to see the wrong screen here for 1 second. But you're just going to see yourselves there. Say hi to the chat, and then Patriot Gallery's thing is still here, which is fine. But I want to pull up an image here. I don't like shaming folks, but if this photo doesn't go viral, we're part of the problem. Just to be clear, this is the new point where Democrats say it is still okay to abort. Any questions? And that's absolutely true. There is no difference between the child in the womb and then the child exiting the womb. But the Democrats now say you are not a mother until the baby comes out of your body.
And the child's not a child unless it's wanted. So even if it comes out and it's not wanted, then it's not a baby.
This is all very confusing to me, I have to tell you. It's not confusing at all. It's the devil.
Right.
When you read the Old Testament, you have these sacrifices to these gods and children sacrifices.
So
and
Disney,
that's all that it is again.
Disney says that it'd be hard for Disney to
film thank you.
In states like Georgia that have restrictive abortion because it's going to be hard to get actors to go to those states.
Right.
And what's so insane about these people is that they're so murderous. And Tucker Carlson had a lefty on who said this is about abortion. No, it's not about abortion. It's about the woman's right. A woman's right to abortion. It's about abortion. The ban is against abortion. It's about abortion. You're like, stop. There's absolutely insane. So I could go on, but we talk about abortion a lot. So I'm going to move on.
All right. So I do have a question, though.
Okay, we're not moving on.
When in the argument of abortion and the woman's body and things like that, when you have conjoined twins, okay, if there's a conjoined twin who has the majority of the body, is it then her right to terminate, his or her right to terminate the other person because, well, it's my body. Okay, and I don't want you as a part of my body. I don't want you using my heart. I don't want you using my kidneys. I don't want, and people would say, well, no, but conjoined twins love each other, and that's fine.
Different, but that's though, because they actually have the same body.
And a baby has their own heart.
Has a whole separate body.
It's just it's just requiring that other body temporarily.
So in those cases,
order to live.
When doctors have to choose, I feel like the doctors have to choose on a conjoined twin situation.
Well, I just meant fully grown adults. Okay, let's say you get. I mean, I've watched these conjoined twins. It's very weird for me to watch this. You know, imagine being connected to you all the time. I don't know.
Stop!
I couldn't handle it. But you know what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say. Does it give that person the right to say, I have most of the body, you need me to survive, and I don't want you here. Can you know what I'm saying? So I'm just these quandaries that the left they don't make any sense. You have to be able to say, well, I'm sorry, that's just tough for you. You have to tough it out for 9 months. It's better than being a conjoined twin.
It's better than being a conjoined twin. Massive voter fraud. I estimate at least 900,000 illegal aliens voted in the midterms. New numbers out of Texas and Pennsylvania suggest foreign nationals illegally voting in massive numbers.
Integrity Project. And federal law allows
you wonder what happened in the
groups
midterms?
like Judicial Watch who are aggrieved to sue states
Gotta be small.
Over their failure to take reasonable steps to clean up the election rolls, because we found in states like California they have more people on the rolls than are eligible to vote. So we successfully sued in Ohio. We had a settlement. In Indiana, we sued. Indiana, did what we needed them to do, so we ended the lawsuit. In Kentucky, I think it was one of the worst states, believe it or not. The Republican-controlled state largely had more people on the rolls than were eligible to vote. These are people who would otherwise be, when there are more people on the rolls than are actually living there, it means you've got people who have moved away who are still on the rolls, dead people who are still on the rolls. Dead people. And it's my view, dirty voting rolls can mean dirty elections. So nationally, there are 3.5 million, our great Judicial Watch lawyers and investigators found, 3.5 million extra names on the rolls than are eligible to vote. And 1.56 million of them, we confirmed, are in Los Angeles County. So we sued Los Angeles County and the state of California over that massive problem. And they settled, and they agreed to remove up to 1.56 million inactive names, which are names that shouldn't be there, off the rolls over the next few years.
Why does it take a few years to do that, though?
In half, just with that one successful settlement.
Wow.
But on top of that, there's this news out of Texas, which is related, which is that you had up to 100,000 illegal aliens or aliens registered to vote illegally. And of those, up to 60,000 or so may have voted. And that's in one state. Pennsylvania announces 11,000 names, potentially, aliens on the rolls who should not be there, who could be voting. So not only is voter fraud real, but it's potentially very real in the sense of having aliens unlawfully present and lawfully present here registered to vote. And I've calculated, because there's this study, I don't know if you've seen it, Bruce, out of Old Dominion University. We've talked about it extensively here at Judicial Watch. And it's a numbers game. You've got XX million numbers of illegal aliens and just aliens who are here lawfully, they have green cards, and a percentage of them are going to register to vote, both in a knowingly criminal way and accidentally.
Wow.
And of those, a percentage are going to vote. And they vote in large enough numbers to influence elections. It makes sense. And when you look at the numbers from this study, you extrapolate them, for instance, to 2016, I'd estimate about 1.2 million aliens voted in the presidential elections, 80% of which tend to vote Democrat. So Hillary Clinton got 80% of those votes. If you look at them in 2018, those numbers, given the turnout, I'd estimate you had 900,000 aliens unlawfully vote in the midterm elections. And when you see the Texas numbers, Bruce, and the Pennsylvania numbers, the Justice Department's got to get on the ball and investigate what's going on.
So is the DOJ doing anything about this?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. States are beginning to prosecute voter fraud more aggressively. You may have U.S. attorneys who are now prosecuting voter frauds now and again. But I would suggest, obviously, when you find voter fraud, you prosecute it. But given this kind of the sheer volume numbers that I'm talking about, the Justice Department has got to get a handle on the problem by doing a deep dive into the numbers of voter registrations, who's on the voter registration rolls nationally, compare and contrast them with the lists they have of aliens who are here, both legally and illegally.
Right, exactly.
That's had over 1 million views, by the way.
Yeah, it has. It has.
That's incredible. Now, a couple of things here, and I know you have more stories we're going to move on to, but so what says, did he just say illegal aliens or aliens?
He said
so
to
both, because you, like he said, you can hold a green card, but because if I go to Germany where you're at and I get a green card, that doesn't mean I'm allowed to vote.
Right.
I'm an alien in your country, legally there, and I can't vote. And these people they are coming over here. And so Redneck says the Dems are so popular, even the dead vote for them. That's pretty funny.
Exactly. Only the dead vote for him.
Tim says, I truly believe that every abortion is a sacrifice to these satanic demons, and the left is too stupid and brain dead to know the difference. Let's see. Hang on. There were a couple of more here. Wicked Psych says there are also people who move and become residents of another state that are not removed from the original state that they registered in. And they could actually do a double vote, I think. I don't know if anybody would ever take the time to catch that. I don't know what kind of trouble you would get into. Let's see. No, I'm missing the rest of the ones that I wanted. But oh well.
Okay, so
moving on to Assange.
Assange is really, really sick, you guys. He can't put a sentence together. He's in the hospital.
He's drugged.
His lawyer, his Swedish lawyer, Per Samuelsson, told the press that Assange's health situation on Friday was such as that it was not possible to conduct a normal conversation with him. This jarring revelation has been reported by a small handful of outlets, but only as an aside in revelation to Sweden refusing Samuelsson's request for a postponement of a scheduled hearing. Now, Sweden had dropped charges against Assange, and then according to the UK, the UK pressured them to bring it back up. So there's more, going back to the rape allegations. I've seen some people break this down. Just trust me on this. Don't ever say trust me, but don't trust people who say trust me. He didn't rape anybody, okay? This is all fake. It's just a bunch of bunk. The fact that the imprisoned WikiLeaks founder is so ill that he can't converse lucidly is itself far more, this is from Caitlin Johnson, more significant than the postponement refusal. Yet headlines mentioning Samuelsson's statements focus on the Swedish case, de-emphasizing the startling news from his lawyer. She says, as of this writing, I've been able to find very few news outlets reporting on this at all. The most mainstream being the Rodgers article with the very tame headline, Swedish courts rejects delay of Assange hearing over ill health. The Sydney Morning Herald also covered the story without even mentioning his health. The much smaller alternative media outlet's World Socialist website has been the only outlet I've found so far. And somebody posted, I have a lot of Caitlin's followers on Facebook, and they don't follow as much anymore. You're full on MAGA, blah, blah, blah. Well, somebody said, because I posted a petition for change.org to free Assange, and they said, I want to just really not like you, but I can't help it. Because you do things like this. So there are things that we can come together with. Because, listen, if we don't have a freedom of press, if we don't have a freedom to speak, then I don't even have the ability to debate the socialists.
Right.
I want to debate the socialists.
Yeah.
Okay? I want to debate them on their merits. But if we don't even have... It's kind of like you've got, like, the referee in the game. You want to play the game, right? But and you know that you're the better team. But the ref keeps like making it so that neither of you can play.
Right. That's exactly right.
Right? So a report that Julian Assange was so sick he could barely speak all the way back on Friday, and we still have no news about how he's doing now, should be hugely significant for everyone who cares about Assange, press freedom, government transparency, or peace activism. Another part of this story, which has gone completely uncovered in all English language media as of this writing, is the news that Assange has actually been transferred to the hospital wing of Belmarsh prison. This was reported by the Swedish outlet Uppsala Nya Tidning.
Oh my God.
A newspaper published in the same district court Assange is scheduled to be called for his hearing. The report also was based on a statement by his Swedish lawyer. The article reports the following per translation. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, Swedish lawyer, wants the arrest hearing on Monday in Uppsala to be postponed because he's really sick. So I wanted to point this out because what they're doing, a lot of people have said this, they're trying to kill him in prison so he just dies.
I think they're poisoning him.
Michelle thinks they're poisoning him. Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, and so he's so incoherent that his own lawyer can't conduct not an interview, but whatever you call it, just talk. He can't talk to him. Okay. So if that's the case, then he's not going to be coherent enough to say, hey, they're poisoning me. Something's not right. I'm not right. get me out of here, you know? I mean, this is so bad. I always think about that in those psych wards and stuff where they put drugs in you to make you worse. Right. And then you never get out.
Yeah, so, you know, he's been in dire states for a long time. He's got a horrible bad tooth. They could be putting it in his water. He's indoors all the time, so his vision is bad. You know, his health is just horrible. And it's a slow assassination here. They drug him out of the embassy. It's a bunch of craziness. And he's in the health ward of Belmarsh prison, and that his health is steadily deteriorating since his imprisonment.
Unbelievable. Then they're putting it in the water because you have to have water. So if they are poisoning your water, you got to drink it anyway. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So say a prayer for him. Now we're going to move on to another story, which is incredibly interesting to me because there's somebody who's running for president. He's a gay man. His name is Pete Buttigieg, and he is from Indiana. He's a mayor from Indiana, and he's married to a dude. He's a husband. Take that as you will.
He's a veteran,
and
and a Rhodes Scholar.
His brother-in-law is a pastor. Now, Buttigieg's significant other, partner, is trying to get attention. And he said that no, I don't need you to play. He said that he was kicked out of his house for being gay, and he's been persecuted, and his family hates him, and blah, blah, blah. Well, Ryan Glesman, 34, a pastor in small-town Michigan, said he was inundated by death threats and hate mail when stories surfaced this month claiming he was a bigot who had fallen out with his younger brother Chasten when Chasten came out of the closet. Chasten now has Buttigieg's last name. The reports were based on a Washington Post article which described how Chasten, 29, was forced out of his family home and never reconciled with his two brothers. But rather than rejecting his brother, you can stop playing, and to be the first gentleman, I guess. Glesman, who has run the Clio Community Church for the past 2 years, said his family has been loving and supportive throughout. He's the quote says, a mayor from a small city and his husband, a child who grew up with nothing, and his parents kicked him out. It makes a perfect political story for the campaign. He said in an interview with the Washington Examiner.
He said that?
That's what the brother is saying.
Okay.
He's saying it makes this perfect thing. He says, to me, that's really sad. If that's all you have to stand on, you're not fit to be president. He says, the pain that you've been feeling can't compare with the joys that's coming. That's a thing that he said in church. Buttigieg is 37. He's the mayor of South Bend, Indiana since 2012. And he's kind of come in that limelight, and then several articles have focused on Chasten. And says Chasten Buttigieg has been a homeless community college student and a Starbucks barista, the Washington Post said. Now he could be the first gentleman.
Wow. But
it's reference to Glesman's opposition to gay marriage based, he says, on a biblical interpretation of what the institution means. Misrepresented complicated family relationships, he said. What particularly stung, he added, was a line suggesting that he or his other brother, Dustin, had effectively disowned Chasten, saying, quote, no brother of mine. Visibly pained, Glesman said, do I love him? Absolutely. He's my brother. This is the brother right here. He's, you can't change that. Just because we have a disagreement doesn't change that. Glesman has said that no one had been particularly shocked when Chasten came out as gay. In fact, it helped them make sense of his studious nature in a family of outdoorsmen. Nor was his family particularly religious. He says, we went to church on Easter and Christmas, so we're not the type to banish a son into homelessness. He said he went away. He was struggling for a time, but there was nothing on the family end that said he had to leave. He was particularly angered by the account suggesting the family was poor and that Chasten went without when he was growing up. It was little more than an example of playing the victim card for political gain.
Wow.
The story makes it look as if he came from nothing, a poor family. Chasten had everything, cell phones paid for and car insurance paid for. Glesman's bond with his brothers added the married father of one was marked by a tattoo of a cross on his arm inscribed forever, and he explained that was how he treated his younger brother to a trip to an amusement park for his 21st birthday, and he got that. That's forever, you're in my life. And they last hugged at the funeral for their grandmother a year ago. And he said he hosted his brother's previous boyfriends and that they went to a baseball game last year with both Pete and Chasten. So this is the outskirts. These are my family disowned me. They kicked me out. I'm going to baseball games with them. I was poor, but I wasn't poor because I had a cell phone. It's like, this is what you when your victim card isn't full enough, then you have to make it up, which you make a fool out of yourself. And so I wanted to throw that out there.
And that just goes to show you that these people don't care. They know that these facts are going to be found out, and they throw them out anyway because people believe them. They buy into them hook, line, and sinker.
Right. Exactly. So
Dean Cain,
really excited about this.
I love this guy.
So you guys know the Page and Strzok emails,
right?
The little text messages?
Yes.
Well, he and another Trump-supporting actress, Christy Swanson, who's active on Twitter, have created a play based on those text messages using only the text messages.
No.
Yes.
But are they going to put it on video for us to see? Because not everybody can go see it.
I want to see it. However, because of, quote, threats of violence, convinced the theater in D.C. to back out of showing the play. Threats of violence.
So then what's going to happen now?
I don't know. He said they'll have to find another venue and it'll come out. But it's based on the, it says, Peter Strzok was a key figure in the Mueller investigation, was dismissed after it was discovered he was not only having an extramarital affair with Page, but was also sharing
But is he going to play
text.
Peter Strzok?
Yeah.
Well, what a big boost for Peter, tiny little man Strzok.
Strzok at one point described the Mueller investigation as an insurance policy in case Trump won.
Not every person gets Dean Cain to play them.
So the producers who co-wrote Gosnell are helping to put the play together.
Nice.
The dialogue is pulled straight from the actual conversations between Strzok and Page.
Wow. Who's going to play the girl?
I told you.
I know, but I want to see her
Christy
face.
Swanson. I don't. It's not up here. She's just doing little stuff.
Okay.
So he added the fact that the play is using the undeniable existence of these texts as the center of a play is what is frustrating the left so badly. The intolerant left can't challenge the actual verbatim text.
Oh, yeah. Wait. Everybody knows who she is. Okay, so here, here you guys can see. That's her. So Lisa Page. Not everybody gets Christy Swanson to play them either. You lucky little girl. Wow, wow, wow.
So the Palestinian Arab media is teaching kids how to shoot Jews in your...
Here we go again.
According to watchdog group Palestinian Media Watch, recent programming on the state-run Palestinian Authority television starkly showcases the genocidal, anti-Semitic, jihadist and training propaganda into which the Palestinian Arab youth, and you wonder where, Tashid Rashid gets her indoctrination from.
Wow.
So it says, during the current month of Ramadan, official Palestinian Authority TV is broadcasting a series called Children of the Village Chief. The series portrays Arab life around the creation of the State of Israel in 1948 and afterwards in a village in what was, until the Six-Day War in 1967, the West Bank of the Kingdom of Jordan. The first program starts with the so-called Palestinian Nakba, the catastrophe of the creation of Israel, and continues until the 1980s. In the series, which deals primarily with daily life during this period, attitudes towards Israel and Jews are likewise expressed. In one episode, a boy of around 10 asks his uncle to teach him how to use a rifle because he wants to shoot at the Jews. The uncle willingly answers his nephew's request, explaining that he should only aim at your enemy, who the boy then identifies as Jews.
Wow.
Palestinian Media Watch then records the full television exchange between the Palestinian Arab boy and his uncle. And why do you want to learn to shoot? You want to kill the Jews. Remove them from our lands and our homes like they removed us. Ready? Go ahead, hero. The watchdog group then elaborates on other Jew-hated, disseminated in the same television series. In a later episode, Jews are portrayed as potential rapists and impure schemers. Set during the Six-Day War in 1967, the villagers discuss running away before the Jews arrive because the villagers have wives and honor that is too precious, and they fear the Jewish soldiers will rape the village women.
I can't even believe this.
There's a pot calling.
Because you hear about Jews raping people all the time.
Yeah.
What?
So
that's a joke. Wow.
There's a lot. I mean, this Palestinian Authority craziness is just totally insane. So that's just one. Just headline news here. A lot of states, we guys told you about, are adopting this, trying to get rid of the electoral college. So the states are trying to vote to be able to give the whole state's electoral college votes.
Do we have to do the refresher one more time to explain why the electoral college is vital to the
Nevada's
States?
Senate passed this to give its 6 electoral votes to the winner of the popular vote. But thankfully, the governor vetoed it. Praise God.
Well, but even if the governor hadn't vetoed it, like I said when we talked about this before, there is, when you sign up for this thing, you know, when the states signed up for this perfect union, right, or, you know, whatever, there are certain things that you agreed to that you as a state surrender, and that's your right to choose whether you have an electoral college or not. That's something that you that is immovable. It would have to be something that goes before the House and the Senate and be changed for the entire country. These are not states. You don't get to just choose.
So Nevada only has a few electoral college votes, but here's the thing. In this system that they wanted to do, Nevada, if Nevadans voted for somebody who lost the popular vote, then Nevada loses out its votes. It's the people in Nevada lose their voice.
Right.
And
they shouldn't be able to do that to the Nevadians.
Right. This is also an incentive for fraud, and like Patriot Gallery already said this, in the jurisdictions most susceptible to it. In California, with this new system of ballot harvesting, in which unregistered activists may deliver an unlimited number of mail-in ballots, would be a prime candidate as rival campaigns competed to stuff ballot boxes. The national popular vote idea gained popularity among the Democrats. So this is rife for, we just need an extra 100,000 votes here. We just need an extra 100,000 votes here. We can just totally we don't have to go to every single state. We can just like really hit the hammer in California and just run up the numbers there. So, yeah, that's crazy. All right. You guys are going to love this.
They might as well. Here's the deal.
Go ahead.
And I want to break it down to you, it's as simple as this. If you want to get rid of the Electoral College, you get rid of the House and you get rid of the Senate, and you come up with something completely different where every state or you would just get rid of the House. You have only senators.
No, that's their problem. They don't want the Senate. They want the House because the House is based on the number of people.
I'm talking about for all laws.
No, but they're cool with the House because the House is based on the number of people. Senators are only 2 senators per state. That's what they get angry about.
All right, well, thank you. Then you get rid of the Senate and you have the House and you get all these representatives for your district get sent to Congress, okay? And then so all of California pretty much gets to run the entire country. You know, or you could abolish it and every law gets passed by a majority vote like Brexit.
Yep.
And then, again, California will be making all laws.
But our founders, and maybe New York, our founders hated democracies for this very reason because you could literally vote to kill people.
Right.
Like they do with abortion. Okay, you're going to love this because I guess this is called the Breakfast Club or something, Black People Political Channel or something. And they had on Elizabeth Warren, and they kind of grilled her on the whole Tecumseh Pocahontas thing.
I learned about my family the same way most people learn about their family, from my mama and my daddy and my aunts and my uncles. And it's what I believe. But I'm not a person of color. I'm not a citizen of a tribe. And I shouldn't have done it.
If you had a chance to do it over, would you?
I can't go back, but I shouldn't have. But what I can do is try to be a good partner. And that's what I do every day. So, for example, in the things we're talking about here, what I want to see us do in education is I want to see us get rid of the student loan debt and make an investment in the historically Black colleges and universities. I want to see us in housing, hit redlining head on. I've got the first housing proposal to just smack straight into that. I want to see us in healthcare. Address healthcare disparities, and particularly maternal mortality rates for Black women. We got serious problems.
What about infant mortality rates of Black babies?
So what, your family told you were Native American?
Yeah.
Charlamagne tells me I'm Dominican, but I don't believe him.
You are. How long did you hold on to that? Because there was some report that said you were a Native American on your Texas bar license, and that you said you were a Native American on some documents when you were a professor at Harvard. Like, why'd you do that?
So it's what I believe. You know, that's, like I said, it's what I learned from my family.
When did you find out you weren't?
Well, you know, I'm not a person of color. I'm not a citizen of a tribe.
She can't answer the question. When did you find out you're not Native American? She says she's not going to say she's not Native American.
She keeps saying it's what I believe.
It's just, you are what you are.
Right.
It's just what I believe. She says, I'm not a person of color and I'm not part of a tribe. But I'm not going to say I'm not Native American.
And tribal citizenship is an important distinction. And not something I am. So.
Was there any benefits to that?
No. Boston Globe did a full investigation. It never affected, nothing about my family ever affected any job I ever got.
She didn't get a discount in college. No.
You kind of like the original Rachel Dolezal a little bit. Rachel Dolezal was a white woman pretending to be black.
No, this is what I learned from my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He calls her, that's the punchline. He calls her the original Rachel Dolezal, who is a white woman pretending to be black. With a straight face. This is what Dana Loesch had said. He says it with a straight face. Oh my gosh. So, Pocahontas there.
You know, it's interesting. We see this. It's like oil and water where they can't. The left has a ton of black votes. Okay. But you see these sane black people that will say, you are not black. You don't get to say that you're black. At the same time, still on the left side with the left team is the Pocahontas and the Rachel girl and all of these and the 800 million genders. You can be whatever you want to be. And they don't actually go together. Actual black values don't actually go with leftist values. And it's unfortunate that the only reason that they vote is for two reasons. They think for some reason that the rich white Democrat men are standing up for their, and her, are standing up for their rights, which they aren't. And sadly, because of government funding.
Yeah, exactly. They're using them. They're using, like George Bush used Christians. Right? All right, here's some interesting, kind of a good little, a feel-good newsline. Instead of just staying long enough to shake the hand of the top graduate or even just the top distinguished grads, real Donald Trump is staying to shake the hands of 991 newly commissioned second lieutenants of 2019. And so I want to play a little clip there because he said there shook a lot of hands.
Arthur Leonio.
991.
Bradley Dylan Martin. Preston Riley Montero.
I don't have that man's energy. I don't have a quarter of it. I wish that this camera was sideways.
Zachary David Norton.
I can't imagine.
Christian.
He's got to salute them all, shake all their hands.
You know how much exercise that is?
Pepper.
And to do a salute, I think is a very specific thing because it's not. We grow up and we think this is the salute, right? It's like this. It's actually not that. It kind of comes from the side, and it's more of an angled, like almost a shade of the face. And so Trump is you're seeing him, you're watching him do it very specifically. I'm not even doing it properly, but it's not what we normally think of.
Yeah,
it's very.
It's a lot of exercise. 900.
I know he's doing it stiff.
91 times. Oh my gosh, get me out of here. I'm sorry.
Because you can't just switch arms halfway through.
I physically can't do it.
Right.
Like how he keeps I've read that people get on the plane with Trump and they're just like, go to sleep. Stop. You can't keep doing this. You have to sleep. You're driving us mad.
I bet he's like Patriot Gallery though.
So you guys
doesn't sleep.
I know. Have you guys heard about this white power symbol? Supposedly the OK sign, and somebody's going to take a screenshot of this and say,
You did it, now you did it, now you did it.
I know. Well, so did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's a white supremacist. Look what she did.
She flashed white power.
Look what she did. They blurred out kids in the year. They reprinted the entire yearbook because some kids did an OK sign in the yearbook. $58,000 to reprint that yearbook. Because
you did it like 800 times.
I know
here.
we're gonna be shut down. I'm also gonna do this. It's "I love you" in sign language. I'm pretty sure this means okay in sign language too. So crazy. Oh my gosh.
All of this stuff, it's too much for me to keep track of all these young people.
I know. It's too much for me, man. It's so too much for me. Speaking of something that's too much for me, it's not too much for me. This is a really long thread. And I'm just going to kind of give you an idea. I think this was sent to us by Horatio. I want to say Horatio Hornblower. So Horatio sent us this. Did you look through it?
No.
Haha. She didn't.
Okay, what have I been doing for the past forever?
It was a while back, a couple days ago.
But what have I been doing for the past forever?
Well, if you ever
where have I been? What have I been doing?
Okay, so
and when I do have free time, I'm editing Patriot Gallery's blogs.
Depending on your political orientation, what follows will either disturb you or encourage you. And he says some swear words here. I'm not going to say out loud. Here is the oh my gosh number 1 is what I'm going to say. So he put together these articles. He says, spent some time on LexisNexis over the weekend. And he found the number of articles written on certain subjects. Now,
number of news articles mentioning diversity and inclusion.
So 0 in 1990, 0, 0, 0. I mean,
95,
maybe it just kind of uptick,
2000,
maybe like 1.
2005.
And then we start to uptick 2010, 15. And then here we are, 18 here.
And that right there is 15,000.
Actually, 19 now. Yeah. Can you guys believe this? And it goes on. Number of news articles mentioning whiteness.
This is 1975. This is 1990, 2000, 2010, 2015, and on. Hey, we've got a little decline there.
Number of articles mentioning critical race theory.
What is that?
I don't even know what that is.
All right, 95, 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015. Can I get it? 2020.
Who am I yawning? Number of news articles mentioning unconscious bias.
Wow,
this is literally
75
to
2015.
None until about 2012.
Right. You have unconscious bias and you are a racist even if you don't know
This is one of my favorites. Number of articles mentioning white privilege.
1975.
None.
Hey, but see, we have a little drop off here. This is 2,500, by the way.
So then you've got, literally it starts again. Obama is second term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Obama's second term. Here you have he's getting elected, and all of a sudden, while Obama's in office, here you have a title drop.
Well, maybe we've had a drop since Trump was in office. I don't know.
You have, and then an uptick again. So then another a number of articles mentioning systemic racism.
Here's 75. It doesn't start until 80, and then it goes none. There maybe was now we're back on the up the incline there.
It's just absolutely insane. If you're looking for a job in a booming industry, number of articles mentioning diversity training.
So there's 90 to 2015.
I'm just going to kind of go over these now. So, some of these terms will, it says, such as the one below, turn up so many results that I had to limit the search to a single news source.
No way.
Number of New York Times articles mentioning privilege.
Wow, 1980 to 2015. That's 1,500 articles.
But they didn't have any before.
But that's in like, whatever. If we've reached 1,500 for like 1 year.
Number of New York Times articles mentioning discrimination.
Well, this actually makes sense right here in like between 80 and 85, and then it's kind of been a little bit rocky. It's interesting that it went down in 2010, but then here we are, like you said, with Barack Obama's second term.
Number of New York Times articles mentioning social justice.
Unbelievable. I don't think it meant back then what it means now.
New York Times articles mentioning police brutality.
And again, with Obama's administration.
Number of New York Times mentioning articles mentioning marginalized.
This is like a deadpan right there at 0, 0, 0, 0.
He says, I was telling this person that I don't recall the term people of color being used so frequently in previous years. Maybe there's something onto this. Mentioning people of color.
Wow.
It didn't even happen until about 2013.
I want to know how he compiled this, by the way.
I know. And now everyone has people of colors like off the roots. One important thing to keep in mind is that only results for articles which LexisNexis has inventoryized are going to come up.
Okay,
For
so he's
instance,
used a specific thing.
The trend below technically begins in the 1980s, but only a handful of articles that LexisNexis has for this period mentions racism. Clear Charlottesville effect, number of newspaper, blog, web-based publications which mention white supremacy. So it went up during 2017, and it's way back down again. But it's still in the 4,000s, white supremacy. Our future is intersectional, mentioning intersectionality.
Oh my gosh.
So I wanted to show you this unconscious bias, implicit bias, not the same as unconscious bias, political correctness.
Okay, so I think we get the idea. And here's the bottom line of this is...
privilege.
There is a section of our social debates and our social conversation that should include these things. Okay?
Some of them not really.
A part of the social conversation should include diversity. We'll sum it up with diversity, right?
I can talk about diversity and racism, but not diversity and inclusion.
But the fact that it has become
unconscious bias,
such a huge
do you know what unconscious bias is supposed to be? You don't know what you're doing, but you're biased against people, and
right?
Project that onto people. You're racist.
I know, that's
you
what
don't
I said.
Know you're
right.
Racist.
So unless they are putting out an exorbitant amount of more articles than ever before, it's kind of like water. There's only so much water on the earth. They are diverting the social conversation, and giving it to unfairly to one section, which goes to show you that they are doing it for personal gain and personal gain only, political personal gain. They're not talking about the real social issues and world issues and national issues that we actually have in our country.
Right.
And that's the sad part.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what they're doing with Donald Trump. They want to impeach. That impeachment's on the rolls. It wasn't. And then after Mueller come out, Mueller said, basically, I want you to impeach him.
You mean the Mueller investigation?
No, after Mueller came out with
but you said come, so I was trying to go with
after Mueller came out with his 9-second speech, now everybody wants to impeach.
Right.
So there's a couple more things about people being censored.
Okay. One of my favorite topics.
It's not your imagination. The journalists writing about Antifa are often their cheerleaders, and this guy who wrote this was kicked off of Twitter. So, you guys, we've covered Antifa, Black Mass,
violence.
I have no idea where they came from.
They literally water balloons of urine at Millie Weaver and her husband at Charlottesville.
Right. They kind of showed up out of nowhere. In 2017, when Milo was supposed to speak about free speech
at Berkeley.
150 people came. We can show you videos. They put mace in somebody's face.
They set things on fire.
Yeah. Berkeley was where Antifa rose to national attention, but it hasn't been the only place where the group has engaged in sustained acts of violence. At a Washington, D.C. Unite the Right rally in August 2018, Antifa members hurled objects at police and assaulted journalists. In Portland, Oregon, violent street clashes involving Antifa have become regular events. Notwithstanding claims that Antifa is a peaceful anti-fascist community defense group. Chris Cuomo said that, but they're actually...
it's hard to say that name.
They're anti-fascist. So if you got to punch a Nazi, punch a Nazi. And I think, who was it? Did Project Veritas? Somebody went undercover and exposed them. I think it was Project Veritas. Andy No says, I was sprayed in the face point blank with pepper spray. Before that, they threatened me and brought up my mother's name. A woman helped me across the street. Please help me identify this person. So here, that's Antifa.
So I'm curious, and I'm going to give you the answer to this question. Why is it that they always say punch a Nazi instead of
punch a communist?
No, punch a rapist, or punch a child molester. Now, I actually don't agree with that, and here's why. unless you've got the facts. Because if you have caught somebody raping somebody, then you might do far more than punch them. If you have caught somebody in child molestation, then you might do far more than punch them. But what I'm saying is the fact that they have taken this as their mission and maybe almost the only excuse for ever punching somebody.
But Donald Trump's people are all the Nazis.
And that's the thing. It doesn't make any sense, because if you're going to say that you can just randomly punch anybody, you kind of need proof,
right?
That somebody has done something illegal or detrimental, physically and emotionally to another person before they can be legally punished. Now, if you need to stop that person from hurting somebody else right then and there in that moment, then you need to defend them and take them down. But they're not talking about punching rapists. They're not because that doesn't get them anywhere politically. And they don't really want to be vigilantes getting a bunch of criminals off of the streets.
Right. And now that you've laid that foundation on what Antifa is, this research, this guy wrote this article, said they want to investigate the truth between the mix on the network between Antifa and journalists. And they created a data set of 58,254 Antifa or Antifa-associated Twitter accounts based on the follows of 16 verified Antifa seed accounts. Using a software tool that analyzed the number and nature of connections associated with each individual account, they winnowed the 58,000 Antifa or Antifa Twitter accounts to 962 accounts. This represents a core group of Twitter users who are connected in overlapping ways to the most influential and widely followed Antifa figures. Of the 962 accounts, 22 were found to be verified, of which 15 were journalists who work regularly with national level news outlets.
Unbelievable.
It should be stressed that a journalist's close social media engagement with any particular group should not be seen as incriminating per se. Many journalists follow or even interact with all kinds of figures online. In identifying this group of 15 journalists whose engagement with Antifa is especially intense, our goal was not to accuse them of bias out of hand, but rather to identify them for further study, so as to determine if there was an overall correlation between the level of their online engagement with Antifa and the manner by which these journalists treated Antifa in their published journals. Okay, so they've analyzed these things, and there are all these little dots, a little bit like what is that, the X-Men?
Yeah.
That correlation turned out to be quite pronounced. Of all the 15 verified national level journalists on our subset, we couldn't find a single article by any of them that was markedly critical of Antifa in any way. In all cases, their work in this area consisted primarily of downplaying Antifa violence while advancing Antifa talking points, and in some cases quoting Antifa extremists as if they were impartial experts.
Wow.
These journalists include, for instance, Kit O'Donnell, a self-identified proudly anti-fascist gonzo journalist whose work often reads like an FAQ that one might find on an Antifa website. In one piece, for instance, he wrote that protesters wear masks so that they may create a sense of unity and common purpose as they protect other activists from attacks by police and fascists. Another article is bluntly and somewhat ominously titled, "Nonviolent Activists Must Never Work with Police."
Wow.
And so what's very interesting, that is a, Kit O'Connell is a verified Twitter person. Verified journalist.
Right.
With the little check mark. Gonzo journalist. Disabled. Queer. Polyamorous. Proudly anti-fascist.
Okay.
And
he's a swinger.
He only has like 7,000 followers.
Who puts that on their profile?
But here's the thing. He only has like 7,000 followers.
Okay.
And big giant accounts that have over 100, 200,000 followers aren't getting verified anymore.
Wow.
Okay, so obviously there's a left-wing bias. Patrick Strickland, another journalist among the group of 15, specializes in reporting on the far right in Europe, notably Greece. His book, Alerta, Snapshots of Europe's Anti-Fascist Struggle, has a blurb written by Mark Bray, author of Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, which reads, "As a fascist darkness descends over Europe, Patrick Strickland uncovers the bars, squats, fight clubs, and street corners where resistance burns brightest. Each page of his journey breathes with the tumultuous struggles of brave anti-fascists who risk imprisonment, insult, and even death to take a stand." Unlike O'Connell, Strickland presents himself as a serious mainstream journalist and has written for The New Republic and Politico. As of this writing, he's listed on Al Jazeera's website as a senior producer for Al Jazeera English.
Wow.
A more prominent example is Jason Wilson, a Portland-based writer for The Guardian. One of his recent articles focused on a U.S. regional intelligence report whose authors concluded that Antifa and the far right share responsibility for street violence. Experts say the report mischaracterizes the dynamics of the street violence. One of Wilson's main experts in the piece, it turned out, was none other than Antifa handbook author Mark Bray, who predictably denounced the report's contents as ludicrous. In fact, Bray makes regular appearances on Wilson's articles, and so does fellow Portland resident and eco-extremist Alexander Reed Ross, who regularly writes for Antifa publications, such as It's Going Down anarchist news site.
Oh my gosh.
Ross also contributed to a 30-year anniversary edition publication for Earth First, an extremist environmental collective that advocates what advocates call direct action. You're getting in, ugh. So then you had Occupy ICE protest. Remember that?
Yeah. They don't really do very well, I have to be honest.
No, they don't. And this goes on and
because
on.
They're all a bunch of soy boys. They don't really have it in them. They're good at, you know what these soy boys are good at? Temper tantrums. But when it comes to actually fighting or defending or maintaining, as soon as they get hurt or get their feelings hurt, they're running back crying to mama.
This one says, I expose fascists, get them fired, dehomed, kicked out of school, etc., and brag that he passes dossiers and doxes of national level journalists, and it's just craziness. My point is that these guys are the real people who should be taken off of social media.
Yeah.
Because they advocate for violence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Milo, I don't care, guys, if you go up into somebody's face and you say something that's different. These people are violent. They throw bombs. They say, I can work with the police.
Yeah.
They're just violent. They're violent, angry people. And before, I've never even heard of a fascist in America. And now there's anti-fascists all over the place. Everybody that I don't like. If you are pro-life, you're a fascist. If you are pro-liberty, you're a fascist. Everybody I don't like is a fascist. I'm going to read the definition.
Well, okay, so this is Google right off the bat. Fascism is a form of radical right wing. That's got to be added.
That's Wikipedia. You don't want to read it.
No, I want to read it. I want to read there. Authoritarian ultra-nationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and of the economy, which came to prominence in the early 20th century Europe. I don't even know if this word would be in this. The Webster. I always like to go to.
You're not going to have it in 1828.
I don't think so. I'm not even spelling it right.
No, because it came in 1900. So you're not going. It's like you're not going to have Nazis.
Right.
Webster's.
But I'm just thinking, like, I wonder if there's another Webster's that we can look up, like, 1950s or something.
Why don't we go it?
Okay. But still.
A system of government marked by centralization of authority under a dictator, a capitalist economy subject to stringent government controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. A political philosophy or movement based on or advocating.
I don't even believe. That's got to be a more modern.
Merriam-Webster says, a political philosophy, movement, or regime such as that of the fascisti that exalts nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition.
Do we even have a dictionary down here? Like, we should have like a great big one. I just want to see what the definition was. That the thesaurus is not going to work.
I don't know. Before? Well, it certainly isn't right wing.
Let's see.
We gotta sign off.
I know. I'm just really curious. I don't think
right here. Fascism, totalitarianism, authoritarianism, dictatorship, reactionism, nationalism, national socialism, red fascism, Nazism, neo-fascism. Those are all the thesaurus.
Okay, but still, I don't think that.
It's not. You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Is what Michelle's saying.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Oh, well. All right. So that's it for the news. That's all, folks. I know I missed some comments earlier when we were talking about somebody was, by the way, by and large, today's chat was totally on topic, and I really do appreciate that, guys, sticking with the things that we're talking about, because I think it's helpful for people want to watch and read the chat and hear what you have to say about what we're saying. Mm-hmm. And today that was an excellent portrayal. So thank you guys on that. It kind of got stuck on racism for a minute. And I wanted to call out one thing, and I don't remember who said what, except for Eric Mathis said, there are only two races, the saved race and the fallen race. And I love that because you all can be part of the saved race. But somebody had said, and forgive me for not recognizing your name, that, it was actually very tactfully said that, I think you were saying you believe in like kind of equality and everything like that, but you're not going to say that, that color of skin doesn't actually, like, that we're different, that we are different, that we're not all equal. We are different because of the color of our skin. I would challenge that with this. I would like for you all to, can we coin something new that's if you don't like somebody based on their culture, mm-hmm. you're a culturist. Mm-hmm. And that's what it boils down to.
Right.
When you want to talk about, Chinese people or any foreign person can come over and be raised in an American family, regardless of color of skin.
Right.
And grow up and be completely American, and you would not be able to tell the difference between them and any other regular American.
Imagine all the people who adopted like Russian kids.
It's not a color of skin issue. We're not different based on the color of our skin.
We've had a lot of people adopt black people in white families,
right?
Or just like black families in general. It just like.
The only thing that you can say is that their culture, their hair, their skin, their body type can be different, but the essence of who they are, their blood types can be different. That's biologically fact. Nobody's arguing that. To say that if you are a black person, that there is something inherently different about you, or to say that you are a yellow person, a Chinese person, an Asian person, that there's something inherently different about you on the inside, that's absurd.
It's just like the Jungle Book. It's like the Jungle Book. Mowgli goes and is raised by jungle animals.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's like it's who you're raised at is your culture. It's not just your culture, it's your family values. And so there's so much that goes into creating a person, and it really has nothing to do with the color of your skin.
And before the westernized people watching us all over the world get too high and mighty when you want to talk about, IQ or something like that. Here at least in the United States, IQ, and I don't even believe in IQ, but whatever you want to call it, is dropping.
It's dropping
based on nutrition and chemicals and radiation coming from these machines here.
And life expectancy is starting to drop.
It's all environmental. Mm-hmm. It's not how we were created. We are not created different. Right. Culturally, we're not different. If you take the same person and you remove them from the radiation of the laptop and the iPhones and the estrogen in the water and making them soy boys and whatnot, you can take, and we've proven it actually. You guys have seen the videos of Justin, the heroin addict, here at God's Little Acre. When we met him, he was very scrawny. He kind of had the
really thin,
very thin, small neck, small boned. After we started
feeding
him,
like
they were kind of humped over.
And
we started feeding him raw milk and good food and giving him good vitamins and the love of God. And people that went to school with him would go, "Oh my gosh, you are a brick. I mean, you are a beast. You are the Incredible Hulk." His neck got big. His arms got big. He walked taller. These things can be fixed. Okay? He was more intelligent after we got a hold of him. And it wasn't just because he came off of drugs, which that was a huge part of it, but he wasn't given the education that he should have been given, not book learning wise, but that's part of it. Socially, he was raised in a redneck town, no offense, and very sheltered socially. We broadened his horizons and he became a completely different person. Justin is proof that we are all created differently, and when given
equal, the same, we're all created the same.
Did I say differently? I mean, we're all created the same, and when given the opportunity to rise up to the same level as everybody else, you can.
Right.
Nobody is just dumb or just stupid unless you're born with a literal handicap, and that's regardless of race.
Right, exactly.
So I wanted to touch on that. So, all right, you guys, we love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. We want you to like, we want you to comment, we want you to subscribe to both of our channels in case one ever dies, Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3. We will not see you on Sunday at 1 p.m. We're going to be doing a yard sale down at Grandma Maryland's. We're really excited about it. It's a lot of work. But it's going to be great. And we will see you later next week. Who knows when? Probably not later on Sunday. Let's not even get their hopes up. Let's just be honest about it. But we're glad that you were here. If you do miss us, you can watch all of Patriot Gallery's blogs. They're fantastic. You have a lot to catch up on. And if you haven't seen my Why I Love Men video, you need to watch that. I think I did a Bible study that not everybody's caught up on. I can tell by the numbers. You need to go and watch that one. It was John 13. It's fan-stinking-tastic.
And thanks to Lori for
oh yeah. We actually
patriotic all over the
I kind of
room
put
now.
them. I shouldn't mess with my camera because
There
I
you
get
go.
mad about that. But I did put them all over the room. So thank you for that, Lori. We're gonna have these up all the way to the 4th of July.
Why
so
not?
it's gonna be awesome.
All right, guys. We have a P.O. Box.
107 Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air unless otherwise noted. Okay. And you can watch our streams from last night and share the Martin Luther King Jr. one. That one has to get out. It was short enough to share.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, guys, and God bless.
God bless.